Hello and welcome to Stubtown, PSU TV's review show. This week we're talking Magnificent Seven.
Man carries a gun, he tends to use it.
Dan, you dead? Pity. I had just ordered a drink from that man.
Took a job looking for some men to join me.
Is it difficult?
Impossible.
How many you got so far?
You and me,
Who's she?
we work for her.
Okay, so Magnificent Seven. With me this week is Julie Liu. Julie Liu is our new volunteers coordinator at PSU TV. She's super nice. If you see her in the hallways, ask her about PSU TV and she will fill you in.
Yep, I'll be happy to.
Cool. So Magnificent Seven. Just a quick recap in case you didn't know about Magnificent Seven. This is a remake of a sort of classic Western. It's about more or less about 7 guys who team up to prevent a lot of bandits from invading this town with varying degrees of success. This is, it's an action film, pretty much straight up. Yeah, so let's get into it. The first thing we should talk about today is performances, I think.
Okay.
Because I know that's like the big draw for this one is like how
Right.
good is everyone. So
Right.
who's your favorite of the 7?
My favorite of the 7 is probably Denzel Washington's because I felt he had a solid performance.
Absolutely.
He had like comedic moments, but they didn't feel like with maybe something like Chris Pratt's, it was like comedy for the sake of comedy.
Right.
And there was also substance, I think, to his character. There was implications of like a backstory for most of the film that seemed to like drive his character, like why is he doing what he's doing? And I felt that it made him the most complex character.
Sure, absolutely. I could definitely see all that. For me, it was Ethan Hawke who stood out forever because Chris Pratt shows up and he feels like there's something not quite right. Like I guess he's acting well, but it doesn't feel like a cowboy very much. And then Ethan Hawke shows up and he's like, "This is how you play a cowboy." It's like, oh man, he's amazing. And they give his character just enough backstory and sort of make him interesting. We'll talk about that in spoilers. But he's also friends with one of the other 7 who.
That guy was amazing.
What was his name? He was incredible. Like he's such.
Billy something.
Yeah, like not Billy Two Gun. Oh no.
No.
But I felt like his connections with the other characters all made sense to me. Like there's a little conflict with Chris Pratt's character. Him and Denzel have a backstory, which is frustratingly short.
Right. But it had so much potential.
Yeah. What'd you think of the Mountain Man guy?
I thought that he was quirky and bizarre for like no apparent reason. I thought that he went off like religious rants that I don't know why they were there and they didn't seem to like be that important to the plot.
100% agree. He has this like backstory where like he scalped Indians and sold their scalps. Like that was how he got along. Like I think it's Ethan Hawke's like, oh, now that they're not paying for Indian scalps, you must be out of business. And then like they never talk about that again, really, other than there's an Indian in the 7.
Know, I was just thinking that.
Why would you make that? Of all of the backstories, why do you pick that?
I think that it was like okay to pick as a backstory because it was like something that went on at the time, so it'd be cool to deal with. But I felt like they should have dealt with it more. Like the Indian maybe should have been that should have been more of a point of contention.
Yeah, you think he might be upset. Instead, he doesn't even. There's no acknowledgement of it whatsoever.
He doesn't really interact.
No, which was awkward, like really awkward. I was hoping that there would be a nice like developing of the character of that character specifically because I was really interested. Every time he's on screen, he has such screen presence that I'm like, I want to see more of that dude and what he's gonna do. And most of the movie, he's just on a roof shooting his bow and arrow at people.
Yeah.
And then they cut to someone else. You're like, come on, like.
I know. I think it's hard though too when you have like 7 like main characters and a few side characters are important. Like giving them all screen time is gonna be hard. But there are some things that like were ignored, like the Indian scalper and Indian.
Yeah, well, and he's such like a weird religious nut after you learn this crazy horrible backstory that like I guess it's maybe it broke him or something. Maybe he's just crazy.
But they didn't talk about it. They didn't like deal with it.
And none of his craziness lines up with murdering people and selling their skin. That's a huge thing. Like,
right. You could show that as like a contradiction in his character.
Sure.
But they didn't really.
Mm-hmm. No. So confusing. Yeah. All right. So, any other notable performances you think? Any other
notable performances?
I mean, all of the 7 are great. I don't know.
I liked what they did with some characters, but I didn't necessarily know if they like acted right. I think it's like really great too. Like I like the character of I forget her name, but like the woman, the female character. I liked how in the beginning with her husband, she started as like the typical like wife of the time, like just like clinging to her husband a bit, and then like she really transformed. I liked that they brought that to her character.
I did too. I liked her character a lot. I thought she did a great job acting. I could slap the hell out of whoever costumed her though. Like every other woman in the movie has like a frock or something covering up, and she's just got like low cut everything all the time, and you're like, come on, man, like really, like the one like strong female character in the movie, and you gotta like why? Yeah. And it's awkward because it's literally no one else is dressed like that, and it's
exactly.
Come on, but she does a great job. On another note, I thought the editing in this was very bizarre.
Yeah.
Especially the first half of the movie feels very choppy. It feels like there was a lot of coverage, and that the editor had no idea sort of what to do with the footage that they had. Right. And it might be the director. I'll say the editor director combo didn't seem to work for this.
Right.
Geography is confusing.
That mine.
The mine?
Yeah.
Oh my god. The mine is right.
Where exactly is it in relation to the town? Like, why does it take all day to write there?
Yeah. So, this is the opening scene of the film. The opening scene of the film, right? An explosion happens. And it rocks the town, and there's kids running around, and they're going into the church. So the explosion can be heard and felt. So you think, oh, the mine is right next to the town. But then later scenes would have you believe that gunshot that happens in town can't be heard at the mill, or at the mine, and then they have to ride to the mine, and it's unclear how long that horse ride took, and like the geography is just confusing.
Right, and like going back to like the editing, like that first scene in the church is just so confusing because they give like everyone close-ups, medium close-ups, and everyone's talking really loudly, and then you're like, who's like the big character? Like, what's going on? And then I also felt like, and maybe this is just being nitpickety, like everyone's shouting really loudly and like really angry, and then finally like the important guy of the scene stands up, talks like in like a normal room tone, and like everyone stops.
It's like, oh, what did you have to say? The script seems to say you're important, so. Oh yeah, I totally agree, especially with that scene. And I feel like a lot of the movie, there's a lot of close-ups where you kind of wish it was further back.
Right, like unnecessarily so.
Yeah, like we were talking earlier, Kira Kurosawa, one of the things he's most praised for is his ensemble blocking. Like having a shot with 5 people in it that's really nicely composed. This movie, since there's so much of it is in medium close or close-up and shallow depth of field, even if there is someone else in the shot, they're out of focus. So instead of being able to visually reinforce that the 7 are a cohesive whole and a team, they feel very fractured, and maybe that's why the pacing feels so weird in this movie.
Yeah,
so you have to cut all the time.
I feel like it's easy to compare it to like Seven Samurai, which it's based on, and that's one of my favorite films.
Oh, it's so good.
And I felt like maybe it's just because of like how long it took. Like it's a long film. Everything is like built up so methodically. There's like the preparation of like gathering, like traveling out and like finding the 7. The preparation of training the villagers and getting ready for it. Like
it's more than one scene.
Right, like fully understanding the strategy of how this like battle's gonna work, and then the battle. And I felt it just didn't move as clearly in The Magnificent Seven, especially the preparation for the battle and then the battle.
Yeah, which was, the battle prep was like, I get that they didn't want to sort of reveal too much to the audience, so that during the battle it's a little more exciting and they can use that tension. But they needed more than one scene of that battle prep, and we'll talk more of that in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. Structurally, this feels like a very strange film. It's definitely not like, here's Act 1, which 2 and 3. It feels kind of like, oh, and then this has to happen. Oh, yeah, and then this has to happen, which makes it feel very haphazard in places, especially, at the end. Yeah. Let's see. The photography. What did you think of the cinematography of this movie?
I thought it was pretty good. What I liked about it as a whole was that it preserved like the epicness of a Magnificent Seven. Like it's like widescreen. It feels epic, and I felt like the cinematography really supported that. It had some conventions of like Western lighting, like lighting for Westerns.
Sure.
And but I thought it was like solid. I don't say like it's like classic cinematography. Like it's gonna be like remembered for ages.
Yeah. I totally agree. No one's gonna remember this movie. The one thing I was frustrated with, because like a lot of the lighting is really solid. Like a lot of the one shots are fine. I already complained about the blocking thing, but the landscapes, they're like really unimpressive. Like kind of ugly. And it's a Western. You gotta have those amazing outdoor shots and.
Felt sort of like last minute B-roll instead of like a second unit going out there.
Every once in a while, it felt like a really fake landscape. Like especially at the end. Yeah, we'll talk about that. That's a spoiler thing. Okay, it sounds like, I don't know, I'm pretty ready to move on to spoilers. Do you want to head over to spoilers? Okay.
Let's do that.
Before we do that, we'll go ahead and have you do a quick little recap of what you thought of the film, and then just whether you'd recommend it or wouldn't recommend it.
Okay, so my final thoughts on Magnificent Seven is that it's a good movie. It's like if you want to like go and have some like fun at the movie theater, it's a fun film. But I don't think it's great or that special, and I think it's probably easily forgettable.
Totally fair. So would you recommend or not recommend?
I would not recommend it. Probably in the end.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. Magnificent Seven, honestly, it does kind of feel a little bit like a kid wearing their dad's clothes at points. Like, sometimes it feels more like somebody who has heard of Westerns and Western conventions trying to nail them versus somebody who knows and loves the genre. It has some points that feel very insincere or forced. No one's going to remember this movie a year from now. I'd say if you're a huge Western fan, go ahead and check it out because we get so few good Westerns or even decent Westerns anymore. Definitely check it out. If you're not a huge Western fan, then only check it out if you really love the cast. And even then, don't expect a lot. So recommend, but don't expect a lot, would be it from me. With that, we're going to move on to the spoiler section. I'm TJ Hunt.
I'm Julie Liu.
We'll see you over there. Then it cuts, and then there's music.